Welcome to the Black Sparrow Media Internet Broadcast Network.
You are listening to Linux in the Ham Shack. LHS is a podcast about Linux, open source, and amateur radio for everyone. Now here are your hosts, Russ, K5TUX, Cheryl, W5MOO, and Bill, NE4RD.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome. You have tuned in to episode number 519 of Linux in the Ham Shack. This is the most terrific amateur radio podcast on the internet, and this is a deep dive episode. It's going to be kind of a weird one because we're doing a deep dive without a topic. Well, we have some topics, but it's going to be more of an untopic show, I think is what we decided to call it. Who knows what the title is actually going to be. I did actually go digging around for Cheryl's Yeti mic. Have not been able to locate it yet. So unfortunately, she's just going to be cooking tonight. So for the absent W5MOO, I'm Russ, K5TUX.
And I'm Bill, NE4RD.
All right. So already starting off a little bit weird. So we thought of a couple of things we could talk about. And I guess let's get the scouting stuff out of the way. I know you want to talk about JOTI because it is coming up here pretty quick. So
yes.
What do you want to say about getting online and on the air with the scouts?
Yeah, it's coming soon. That's it. No, just kidding. Jamboree on the air and Jamboree on the internet is coming up, in a real short bit here, October 20th through the 22nd of 2023, if you're listening to this in the future, and, just in case. This year is about the same as every other year. This is the world's largest scouting event. It happens online and on the air. It's a great event to participate in as an amateur radio person. The registration process to kind of get you started does start on the international website for JOTA, and it's JOTA.info, just like our website, LHSpodcast.info. It's JOTA.info, and that's where you'll register. You do need a scouting.org account for the SSO, and at that point you can register your group or your youth. And that's how you can get your JamPuzz ID. And every year, probably for like the last 5 or 6 years, they've been doing this JamPuzz project, where you get a JamPuzz ID, and then that's sort of like an identifier that you can trade back and forth. You'll be asked about it if you're just on Jamboree on the air. So it's definitely of interest for you to go ahead and register and get that ID. There are a ton of resources of what's going on within the Jamboree on the air and Jamboree on the internet within the JOTI website. There's an entire what they call a virtual campsite, because this is a travel-free Jamboree, as they like to call it. In the program areas, you'll find a lot of things here. The Challenge Valley is one of those things. The Challenge Valley is a space to get inspired to explore all corners of what's going on at the JOTI campsite. So take a look at that. There's some challenges there that you can kind of earn and do. There's information about the Jamboree headquarters. There's the Innovation Lab. I'm just going to read some of these here. Innovation Lab. There's a Fun Zone, Faith and Beliefs, International Campfire, Celebrations Arena. There's a chat room. Chat rooms are generally on the internet side of things. There's an IRC channel, an IRC server, a ScoutNet. It's on my other computer. IRC chat room. They have a rocket.chat account and a server and a Scout link. Yeah, so that's also where you'll find the Minecraft server, which we'll be talking a little bit about Minecraft later on. So there's a little tie-in there. There's also, the International Leaders site. There's a JOTI live site. That's where you'll find any live content they got going on. Normally they'll have a show opener that'll be normally streamed on YouTube. And then they'll also have various other activities and stuff like that you can find on there. There's the Amateur Radio Hub, which of course is us. Good old amateur radio. the Jampuz Radio, Rec Reflection Office, Youth got Talent Stage, Safety Center, Visuals and Assets, and of course the Scout Shop, because they always want to sell some cool international scouting gear. For the U.S., again, we're a big proponent of Jamboree on the Air and Jamboree on the Internet. It's an international event for the Scouts BSA. So your international chairs inside of your councils and districts, if I can put my mind together here, will be the ones that should be coordinating this with any activities that are going on. I did get a question from KB6NU the other day during email. He was on a conference call with his local amateur radio group, and they were talking about doing a JOTA event and how, what actually makes up a successful JOTA event. And the first thing that makes up a successful JOTA event is, of course, registering. This kind of indicates your participation in the event. That gets you your Jampuz ID. That also gets you onto the international list of stations and active units participating. The second big thing is if you're into amateur radio and you're doing an amateur radio demonstration area or something to do with amateur radio, it is to bring the amateur radio to where the scouts are. That is the key, the number one key to success. It's not the field of dreams here. We don't host an event at our club station, which might be glorious and awesome and the place we all want to hang out, and have an open invitation to scouts to come visit, because generally the participation might be low because people are busy. People have schedules. People have prior engagements. It's very hard to get people to commit individually at that point. Now, if you're going to host an event and you pre-schedule to have, various troops bring their scouts over at certain times where you can run them through your activities, whether that be just amateur radio, getting them on the air, or whether that's antenna building, fox hunting, and stuff like that, that's great. But you want to ensure that you're going to have some attendance. So either take your event to where the scouts are, whether that be an already planned, scout camporee. There's a lot of spookeries going on that weekend because it's the weekend before Halloween. You can look at all the scouting calendars located on the scouting.org webpage, and you can see what's going around in your area. They'll have links to the various councils and districts and stuff like that in your area, and that's where you'll find their events and event calendars and stuff like that. At this point, 2 weeks out, it's probably a little late to be starting planning your event. But if you go onto the K2BSA website, you'll find all kinds of calendars and information on how to plan and properly plan your event, months and months out to ensure that your event is successful and that you can have participation and you can have volunteers and everything else. So it's going to be a great weekend. It's normally a couple of state QSO parties are operating. Those generally aren't a big problem. There's a contest over in Germany. I think Workdall Germany is that weekend as well. They have restricted frequencies. They're down normally below the upper edge of the general class area. So their frequency limited to where they can actually contest, and they're policed that way with the log submissions. So those shouldn't be much of a problem. I've never had a big problem getting on the air for Jamboree on the air. There's this big round thing in the middle of my radio too that's called a dial, and you can kind of roll it around and find an empty spot and call CQ JOTA, and you're bound to get a response back. You will find a lot of people that don't have a lot of experience with HF on HF during that time, because they'll be getting scouts on the air and they're not really sure what they're doing. They might be right there on 14290 or whatever that is. I think it's 14290. That's listed as like the scout frequency, calling frequency. So you'll find a lot of people kind of crowded around there for some reason. But yeah, encourage them. If you hear them, call them and get them to roll off, like 14295 or whatever. Help them out. As experienced amateur radio operators, it's our job to kind of pass on good experiences and good operating practices and stuff like that with regards to the hobby. And that's definitely what you can share, even if you're not registered as a JAMPUS ID holder or a JOTA JOTI registration person, but you want to participate in the event and talk to scouts and help them understand how you enjoy amateur radio and stuff like that. Feel free to answer those calls and talk a little bit and answer the scouts' questions. Some of them will be really scared and they'll have a script and stuff like that. So, take some time, be patient and answer their questions and help them out. Ask them some questions back. Get them to open up and start talking on the radio. And that's how we can get this hobby to continue to grow and move forward. So, Jamboree on the Air, October 20th through the 22nd, 2023.
All right. Good deal. I don't think I've participated. I've talked to scouts and stuff, but I don't think I ever signed up for it. Or maybe I did one year and then didn't participate or something happened. I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, it's optional. If you have scouts, you should definitely sign up because, there is something to that. If you're just a single participating in it, then you don't really have to worry about that too much. But definitely always, answer the call. That's always a fun time.
Yeah, very good. And that's coming up quick. So if you want to participate, make sure you get registered and do all the stuff. And I guess that goes into it like a database so you can keep track of the information and the people who've registered and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, the international group does do that. We used to carry a separate registration in the U.S. Area for it, but we haven't since basically COVID. And they wanted to push more people because they thought a lot of U.S. stations weren't registering in the international website. So they kind of discouraged us to run a K2BSA sign up separately. I constantly get asked to do it over and over again every year, but I haven't yet walked back on that decision to allow international to kind of just drive it forward because it's really an international event. And you register up there. You normally can search once you're registered other stations and other activities in your area and stuff like that. Normally, I've had complaints that the website's not that great. I can't search it, blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. The key is use, social media, everything else to get your event advertised out there so people know what you're doing and when you're doing it.
All right. Sweet. Good information. And maybe I'll participate. What were the dates again?
October 20th through the 22nd.
20th through 22nd. That's a bad weekend for me. That's show weekend. But
Show weekend.
Yeah. That's when we have lots of bands out here playing lots of music. So
play it loud.
Play it very loud. And I got tons of stuff that I have to do before, during, and after. So that's a pretty hectic weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to be traveling that weekend myself, so I won't be on the radio. Probably not. So,
yeah. All right. So I guess the next thing we had on here was the Minecraft server. Now, what did you say about the Minecraft server? Was there a reference to ours or one for them?
Oh, they have one too for Jamboree on the Air or Jamboree on the Internet. They actually have they spin up a JOTI Minecraft server. I've never participated in it, but it might be something that some people are interested in doing. It's a way to interact and participate in that kind of aspect. The cool part about Jamboree on the Air is integrating portions of Jamboree on the Internet in with your event as well. And I know a lot of people do this, whether they, live stream the event on YouTube or they have, participants on Skype and stuff like that. They'll have all kinds of ways to interact with other groups and connect with other groups of scouts so that you can do this. And one of those things is Minecraft. So, and, people like playing video games. So there it is.
Well, that's very true. And to that end, as you mentioned before, we have our own Minecraft server for anyone who's not aware. I don't remember when we spun it up. It was like in May, something like that. It's been around a little while.
A little while, yeah.
And we do have several regular players, including myself and Cheryl and Bill, and several of our listeners are also on there on a pretty regular basis. So it's a fun server. I've been enjoying it. We are currently running 1.20.1 and have been running that code base for a little bit now. They have recently released an actual release of 1.20.2, but we did notice that there were some plugin compatibility issues. So if you're one of those people who uses Prism Launcher or some other method of putting a bunch of plugins into your Minecraft client, it's not entirely ready for prime time. We found at least at least two, right? It was Mini HUD and Inventory. Was it Inventory or was it FreeCam? One of the two.
FreeCam. Yeah, FreeCam. Yeah.
Doesn't work yet. I'm sure it'll be coming around quickly. You know, they do tend to keep those up pretty well. And so at some point when all of that stuff that Bill and Cheryl and I generally use actually has a release for 1.20.2, we'll be upgrading. I was having weird problems with a computer that did not want to run 1.20.2, but it turns out it doesn't really want to run anything. So it could be some sort of hardware issue. I was having NVIDIA driver problems and weird Java errors and all kinds of crap. So I just went back to the other machine that I was running on, and 1.20 just runs fine. So yeah, because I was getting an FPS of 6, I think was what it was.
Yeah. It was pretty bad.
6 is not exactly playable. If you've ever tried to watch a movie at 6 frames per second, it's not a movie. It's a bunch of static images. So that wasn't working out for me. But if you want to join the Minecraft server, minecraft.lhspodcast.info, please do so. We'd love to have you. And if you've never tried Minecraft before, jump on there. It's a lot of fun. It can be very addictive. I know, I don't want to mention any Australian's name who spends a lot of time on Minecraft, but you know, some people are quite addicted to the game, like I myself am. I just built a huge machine to make trees, of all things.
Oh, a tree farm. Nice.
Yeah, I made a tree farm because I wanted some charcoal. So and if you don't have any idea what I'm talking about, it's weird. You can build things to do things. There's really not much you can't do with it, I guess. It's just, you know, within the context of Minecraft and the setting that it creates. But yeah, if you haven't tried it, I know the first time I tried it, I was not impressed with it. But when you get a little bit of hand holding and shown like how deep down the rabbit hole you can go with the game, yeah, I find it fascinating now. So, and there's never been a time so far in months and months and months that I've been playing it that I have said to myself, gee, you know, I'm kind of done with this and there's nothing more to do. No, there's always something more to do. So
yeah, and just a little bit about our world. It's a survival world. It does have keep inventory on, so should you die, you do not lose all of your stuff that you're holding. So it's kind of like a friendly server. We haven't set up any claims and stuff like that because we really haven't had anyone come in and grief the server yet, but you know, hey, maybe this is an invitation to do that, so we set up claims. I think we've only had like one questionable person come on the server and some stuff sort of disappeared out of chests and stuff like that, but nothing that is not replaceable. We have a lot of like end game farms and everything else set up in it. So, should you need a jump start on your Minecraft world and area, we definitely have resources to help you out in doing so. I mean, if we don't have a farm for it, we'll likely want to build a farm for it, or maybe you can show us how to build a farm for it. And we'll get the materials together and get them over to wherever you decide to settle in. So we've had a couple of people like randomly all over the map. So I'm always interested to see where people are building and stuff like that. I fly around the map a lot and burn through a lot of rockets to try to see where I can find houses that are not generated and stuff like that. So it's always fun just to kind of see what other people are building and what they're up to. I see a lot of stuff going on in the Nether over in the far side of the map. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of people are on there spending some time with their friends and stuff like that, including us. So yeah, come on, join us, have fun playing some Minecraft. And as soon as we're ready for the upgrade to 120.2, we'll go ahead and push that out. Again, it's like Russ said, it's a couple of plugins that we use as admins on the server that we kind of like to have. So really, it's waiting on us to make those final decisions on when it's ready for us. If you just have the regular client, you just set up the specific game version in your launcher, and you don't have to run any plugins to actually join the server. You can join. It's a purely vanilla server. There's nothing on there that isn't already available in the vanilla game. So
we do have a couple of server side plugins that are like we have our Discord integration and stuff like that. that. So if you're on our Discord server, you can communicate with people from inside the game to outside the game and vice versa, which is kind of nice and so on. But those, of course, will work if you're just running a straight client anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's great.
All right, cool. So Ubuntu 23.10, it's coming out really, really soon. I'm thinking in the next week, I think, is about when it should actually get released. There is, of course, a beta version that is available. 23.10 is called Manticore, right? I think that's right.
Manicore.
Manticore, yeah.
Manticore, is that right? I thought it was now you got me all messed up.
Oh no, I'm sure I screwed it up. Minotaur.
That's what I was like. I couldn't even think of the word anymore. Butchered it so bad. I was like, that doesn't sound right, but I can't even think about it in my head now.
Yeah, so Manticore, and like I said, I had to look up.
You said it wrong again. Minotaur.
What didn't I say? Did I say Manticore again?
Yes, you did.
Okay, so Minotaur, fine.
Minotaur.
And I had to look at the word mantic, and mantic means prophetic. So it's a prophetic Minotaur, whatever that means. So this is kind of rolled into the next topic for me. I know you threw it into a virtual machine. What did you get out of the beta version?
So yeah, everything. I noticed some new stuff in the installer, so it's definitely got the new installer present. Now I didn't install 2304, so I don't know if it's the same. So maybe you could answer to that particular aspect. So I had a few extra options throughout the installation process, but it was still just pretty simple to kind of bust through the entire installer and get up and going. And of course, this is the vanilla version of Ubuntu, the one with GNOME in it, and their little sidebar and all the other good stuff here. So GNOME is version 45.0, and I selected the dark theme because I'm that kind of person, so I like it dark.
Oh, I go straight to the dark side no matter what.
Yeah, and I just spun it up here in QEMU, and it installed just fine. As soon as I cleared out some space on my virtual hard drive storage area, which is apparently attached to the wrong mount point, but I'll fix that at a later date. And it installed rather quickly. I did installed all the options. It's a beefy boy image. It's at 4.3 gig download right now in beta, so I'm not sure how much more they're going to shrink that down. I'm certain at this point in the beta, everything is frozen. So it's just basically installer bugs and anything else that could possibly pop up. The kernel that comes with it is 6.5.0-9. So it's a quite advanced kernel. So some of your older systems might have some problems with this, but some of the newer ones will be much, much more happier with this. My virtual machine is running on top of a AMD Ryzen 7, and it seems to run just fine. No problems there. I did install the Ham Radio Pure Blend packages, the Meta packages. They all installed just fine. I didn't see any errors throughout that process whatsoever. WSJTX version is 2.6.1. I believe JS8 call is 2.2.1 dev, which is, I think, the same, possibly, in the previous version that I ran. And what did I run into? Oh, yeah, CQR log. Yeah, it didn't work out of the box because I always want to. Yeah, because it never does, right? It will eventually. I'm certain. I've been told it works fine in a certain Fedora version that I've been told to work on. But yeah, as soon as I installed MariaDB and just whacked the .config/CQR log directory and said, "Oh, it's a brand new install." Bada bing, bada boom. It came up fine, installed fine, updated the DXCC list and everything else. No problems. So yeah, just out of the box, everything there works fine. You get all the great logger programs, Klog, CQR log, WSJTX. You get the SDR programs like GQRX. All the GNU radio stuff is in there. The only thing that wouldn't be in there would be like the SDR++ or what was the other one? Oh, SDR Angel. So those you'd have to sideload at some point. I didn't test sideloading those yet. I'm assuming there's probably not a PPA support at this point for it. But other than that, it seems to be pretty rock solid for an Ubuntu release. So what did you see when you played around with it?
Well, okay, I guess I'm gonna do this kind of backwards because the next topic is a little longer than my experience with Ubuntu 23.10. I was actually able to get it to run from a Pixie boot. However, I couldn't get it to install. It kept giving me server error, and I could not get through the install process. So I could see it. I could see the desktop. I could see that there were some minor changes. There were some minor changes to the installation screens and whatnot. But I could not get it to fully install because I was using a utility that I guess we should just roll into. Because I can't really add much to the 23.10. Other than that, there were definitely some changes. The desktop looked more different. So 23.04, which I only have running on one machine, looks more like 22.04 and 22.10 than 23.10. So they have made some significant changes. I think it's mostly subtle stuff, but you will notice that there is a difference when you upgrade. I didn't notice much of a difference when I went from 22.04 to 23.04. So there's a utility that we've been talking about for the past, several episodes at this point called iVentoy. And originally when I was told about this, it was basically a way to put this application onto a USB flash drive, copy a bunch of ISOs onto it, and then you boot that USB flash drive, and it allows you to then either run ISO files or do installations as if the USB flash drive had all of those distributions on it. You can pack as many ISOs onto the flash drive as you have room for. So Bill and I actually went out and bought big USB flash drives and just started copying a bunch of ISOs onto them. And that allows you to boot into any of those things. It also allows you to skip. If you decide that you don't want to boot into any of the stuff that's on the Ventoy drive, you can actually just skip and go back into the normal bootloader. So you could actually keep Ventoy installed, the whole time if you want to. However, there's a new project called iVentoy, and I use that for the first time today, and it's really cool. What it does is it turns Ventoy as a USB booter into a Pixie booter. So you just have a machine, a Linux machine or a Windows machine. You install iVentoy on it. There's some basic configuration you have to do. You have to tell it what the DHCP range is that you want, the network, the gateway, DNS servers, stuff like that. Then there's a directory in the install called ISO, and you copy all your ISO files into there. And then you run it from a bash script, at least I did from Linux. It's also a Windows executable. And when you do that, it brings up a web interface on port 26,000. And in that web interface, you can go in and make configuration changes. You can see all the ISOs that are installed. You can set up MAC filtering so that it only allows or disallows certain MAC addresses to boot from it. The ISO management allows you to see all the ISOs, see all their checksums. You can password protect the Pixie boots if you want. You can do all kinds of cool things with it. And once you've done that and you click start, you can also get it to auto start because it can run on whatever. So when your machine comes up, it'll run. And then after that, you don't actually have to look at the GUI anymore if you don't want to. Anytime you add another ISO to it, you can go in and refresh, and it will add it to the list. And then what it does is you can put any computer on the network and boot it up in network Pixie boot mode, and you'll get a Ventoy screen with all the ISOs listed, and you can boot your computer into any of them. You can use the installers if you want. You can run them live from the Pixie boot if you want, and that worked great. I installed Debian on a machine. I ran Debian on a machine. I ran Ubuntu on a machine. I installed Ubuntu on a machine. And when I got to Mantic Minotaur, it blew up. But as a proof of concept, it absolutely works. It's fantastic. I am literally going to download every ISO I want to onto my Pixie Loader machine now. And anytime I've got a computer anywhere in the house or anywhere on my network that I need to boot into something or install a different OS on, I'm just going to Pixie boot it and install it from there. I never need another thumb drive unless I'm away from home. So I thought it was super slick.
That sounds awesome. Sounds dangerous for somebody like me that likes to flip OSs, but
Oh yeah, I mean, because you can run things live, because it'll run in live ISO mode, of course, like anything else. So even if you have a computer that's got some other OS on it, if you just want to like randomly boot into Dragonized Garuda one time or whatever, just flip over to your network boot, and your computer will run that for a while. And when you reboot, you're back to whatever.
No, I should always run that. What are you talking about?
Well, you know what I mean.
The other one. So your base install has to be Garuda, and then the rest is everything else you try.
Well,
okay, I get it.
And in the GUI, it actually keeps tracks of all the clients that are booting, what IP address they have, what MAC address they have, what ISO they've booted from, etc. So you can keep track of all the machines on your network, what they've been using, and what ISOs they've been pilfering from your Pixie Booter machines. So
this is not the same as like a terminal server. So this is just sort of just different, right?
It's not a terminal server. It's actually like, just think of it as the USB drive that you're booting from is on a different machine. That's all.
Okay. Just some people might not understand the difference, because if you had like a thin client, I don't know if we have many of those these days, but a thin client. Yeah, you'd boot a terminal. You'd have basically an Xterm or whatever would throw up a X session on your thin client, and then you would see everything else. But this is actually down in the network card area where it actually has PXE boot, so Papa X-ray Echo boot. You probably see it sometimes if you have like the long boot screen on some of your devices and stuff like that. If you have fast boot turned on or something like that, where it hides everything behind the splash screen of Dell or what have you, whatever brand you happen to be booting, you might not even see the PXE screen.
Yes, absolutely. And one thing I forgot to mention is in the configuration of iVentoy, you can actually change like the background image of the bootloader and stuff like that. So you can password protect it. You can change the resolution. You can put your own background images. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So if you got a lot of computers that need to boot off of something, obviously it'll run it with the resources of your local client. It's not a thin client. It's not running it on the server. It's running it on your machine. So it is restricted to whatever resources you've got locally. I'm planning on using it just as an installer kind of thing, but yeah, it's pretty slick.
I'm definitely going to install it on my server here. Just
remember that it does have to run as root, because the ports that it opens, like port 69 and port 123, those
reserved, yeah.
So it must run as root.
Yeah.
But yeah, iVentoy is super, super slick. They have a paid version, which gives you some additional features, but I don't see that there are any features that I would need. So the free version works for me. It does limit you to 20 simultaneous clients. Big whoopee.
Wow. If you have more than 20 in your house, you might want to consider something else. Yeah.
And I think the paid version is only like $50. So,
well, that's not a bunch. I almost want to pay it just to support the author if it's that useful.
Yeah. And they also have a donate link too. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then one other thing I found out about Ventoy, and I'm not sure how useless or useful, I should say, this feature is, because it's not something that I can think of an immediate use case for in my workflow, but it does allow you to take, if you create a virtual box and it is on a file system that's a VDI file system, you can actually use the regular Ventoy to boot a VDI onto bare metal. There's a plugin that's downloadable, and it allows you to do that. So if that's a case where you have a virtual machine and you want to actually run it on a different computer as bare metal instead of in the virtual machine environment, Ventoy will allow you to do that as well.
So that allows you to pre-configure an install and a running install with users and everything else, and just kind of randomly boot it from all of their machines.
From another machine, yeah, absolutely. I can't, like I said, in my use case, I can't think of an immediate need for that kind of thing, but it is something it can do, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, and I know, Ventoy's been making the rounds a lot. I've heard a lot of other shows and stuff like that talking about it. In fact, I just heard an episode of one of the Jupiter broadcasting shows. They were just talking about installing Windows with it, and apparently it gives you a couple different options for installing Windows with the Windows ISO. So it allows you to boot it on some machines that don't really like booting on the ISO image. So I suggest you, if you're booting Windows with Ventoy, I would suggest listening to that episode, and you can hear the fun shenanigans that they were up to installing Windows and complaining about Windows 11 and getting it installed. Just thought that was an odd show topic, but it was pretty fun.
And one thing that I will say is, if I remember correctly, and I'm pretty sure this happened on the machine that I was trying it on, it will boot a Windows ISO just like any other kind of ISO. So if you want to use a Windows installer using iVentoy and Pixie Boot, you can do that. And as far as I know, if you're booting Windows 11 from the Windows 11 ISO via iVentoy, it bypasses like the TPM checks and stuff like that. So it'll allow you to run Windows 11 on technically unsupported hardware.
Yeah, I think they covered that too in that podcast. They were talking about, because some of the machines they were putting them on were not appropriate for Windows 11, including like a Dev 1. I believe Chris was installing his on a Dev 1. So
yep. So that might be useful for somebody too.
Yeah, very good stuff.
All right. Well, that's all I've got for topics. You got anything else you want to hit?
No, I think that covers it. I mean, it definitely looks like 2310 will be a nice, solid release. I mean, this is the one that normally looks the most like the next LTS. So if you're interested in that next 24.04 LTS coming out, I would have a look at 2310 and start kind of seeing any of the changes and stuff like that you like or don't like, because it'll be coming to your distro soon if you're an Ubuntu-based distro.
Yep. I didn't have any problem installing 2204 like the LHS version of 2204 using the iVentoy or using iVentoy, but Mantic Minotaur did not like it for some reason. Not sure what the issue was. So could just be buggy.
Something weird.
Yeah, something odd. But all right. Well, with that, we're down to announcements and feedback, and we do have some. So, Bill, I'll let you hit this first one here.
Yeah, sure. This is an email from W4JED, and he says, Jim, download and install the Rust programming language package, or programming package. Write Hello World app. Right-click on binary, select properties. Gasp when you read that the Hello World is a whole meg of a binary. Oh my goodness. Since most of the processors I write code for have RAM that measures in K, I suggest I'll stick with either C or Python, since Python will do both install and interpret in less than a meg. And this is from Jim Daldry, W4JED. And I don't know. This could be an older comment. I know there's ways to minify it. Rust is obviously out there in the embedded world, quite growing prolifically at this point. I think maybe not running the production binary, maybe running just the debug binary is the one he was seeing. So I don't know. I've kind of played around with Rust quite a bit myself, and I'm quite impressed with some stuff in it. Yes, it's way easier to write it in Python, and with the mini Python and Cython and the 5,000 other interpreters for Python, it's obviously really easy to do microcode on it because it's very select. It's not like you're importing NumPy. So yeah, do that with your next embedded project with Python. Bring in NumPy and see how that works for you. And of course C of course is going to be fine. But Rust, don't give up on it just because of this comment. I think it's definitely something worth looking at. It's definitely fun to play around with.
All right, and thanks for the comment, Jim. We appreciate it. And I have another comment here from Aaron, K5ATG. And it's kind of a long comment, but here we go. Hey, Russ, I try to listen in on LHS whenever I get the chance. I've been fighting with a Raspberry Pi for a couple of years and finally gave up and ordered another. Isn't that the definition of insanity? Mm-hmm. Doing something and expecting a different result. I run Windows 10. He says Windows 10 on my main PC for now. My wireless dongle will not work with Linux no matter how hard I try. Wireless dongles are like $8 on Amazon.
Yeah. Oh, man. Jesus.
Let's see. So once I get a new one, then I'll be 100% Linux. I do prefer Linux over Windows, but I'm not yet good with Linux yet. For years, I've been using N3JP's amateur contact log. Once I switch over to Linux, I will probably use CQR log. One of the cloud log.
Yeah, cloud log.
One of the features I love the most about the AC log is the ability to send CW via keyboard if you have the CW interface. The CW bug is bitten me pretty good. Problem is I can't send CW. I have a whole host of back and neck problems, which has led to neurological issues. I got tired of the frustration and trying to force myself to be able to use a key or paddle. So I started sending via keyboard, as many people do. I do have some Arduino-based devices that allow me to send CW with a keyboard when I'm operating portable or my version of POTA. Due to my back, I rarely am able to leave the house. So I got into patio or porch on the area. Nice.
The other POTA.
Yeah, the other POTUS. When I'm in the shack, I like being able to send CW using the keyboard on my PC. I don't have the room to use multiple keyboards on my desk. I'm just wondering if there is a Linux program that will allow me to send CW via computer keyboard. I'm not really interested in decoding, as I prefer to do that with my head. I just need to be able to send via keyboard. Thank you. He did type 7.2. Aaron's got the K5ATG blog. Pretty sure he meant 7.3, but
no, 72 works as well. Yeah.
7.2 is good too.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before.
Oh yeah, I think Neil does it all the time too. 72, 73s, 88s, all that good stuff.
Well, I know the 88 ones. I don't think I'd ever heard 7.2 before, but okay.
Yeah.
So the applications that decode CW, like not WSGTX, the other one,
CQR log.
No. FLTG.
Oh yeah. But
FLTG,
CQR log has a hook in for doing the CW backend.
Right.
So you can just bring up the thing and start typing, and it'll start keying for you. So his problem's already solved with what he wants to use.
Yeah, absolutely. Any of the applications that allow you to receive CW generally have a hook into sending CW. They'll either like FSK modulate the radio.
Yeah, but he doesn't even need that. He doesn't even need that.
Right.
Yeah, he should just use the CW daemon, and that's it. So he just needs to be able to send.
Yep.
So yeah, he doesn't even need to go into like a decoder that can also send with AFSK. He can actually have something that uses WinKeyer, like CW daemon, and what's the other one? Something
TWCW. We got to mention TED stuff. Right?
Oh yeah, Ted's. Yeah, TWCW. I'm pretty certain that works the same way. Yeah, either one will work fine. Pops up a little thing, you just start typing, and it'll actually, start keying. If you have like a USB WinKey or whatever already set up that you've been using with the N3JP's contact log, it'll be exactly the same. And I've used it before myself with CQR log, so I know it works. It works great.
Absolutely. All right. Very good. So thanks, Aaron, for the message. Hopefully that's helpful, and hopefully some people will hear you on the air on CW. And you got a message from Anthony. So.
Yeah, and 0WJE pinged me here on Discord in a private message. Said, "Hey, Bill, I was watching your Fedora 34 series, and I wanted to let you know that I'm using Fedora 38. Well, so am I on my server. I installed all of the software, both GUI and command line, and everything installed. SDR++, SDR Angel, no compiling needed. Yeah, might want to revisit that video. GM." OM. So thank you very much, Anthony. Yes, I know. I'm horribly bad at keeping those videos updated, and I know there's a lot of interest in it because I see we still get a lot of views on our Ubuntu one. I believe that one was installed with like 1810 or something like that. So it's been a minute since I've been on there. But yeah, I'm going to rerun through all those videos again with the latest greatest. I'm going to probably wait for Fedora 39, which is also due out here pretty shortly. I'm running 38 on the servers right now, and that runs really well. So yeah, we're definitely due to kind of revamp those and give them some fresh paint and show everything that's new and what's working, what isn't working. Obviously, we can add 2310's inability to CQR log on load. We can expand that series as well. Will it or will it not CQR log? That is the question. But thanks a lot for your message, Anthony. And we'll look forward to adding some more content on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, we're definitely looking into doing that. So things have been kind of lax and busy, and we're kind of all over the place. Bill's going to be out of town, and then I'm going to be out of town for 2 weeks, and coming up here pretty quick. So things are going to be a little chaotic for a little bit, but we're getting them out when we can. We really are. That being said, we're down to our new subscribers, supporters, and live participants. There are some more, but since we're going to be recording again in the next few days, I didn't go dig around. You'll get mentioned here on the next episode for sure. We don't leave anybody out, except for some people on Facebook, and that's not my fault. What seems to be happening is when people subscribe to us on Facebook, it gives me a thing that says X person and Y person and 7 other people have followed you on Facebook, but there's no way to find out who those 7 other people are. So
pretty useful.
Yeah. So I apologize for anybody who's followed us on Facebook that doesn't get a mention. It's not my fault. If I can figure out a way to get a list in chronological order of the people who are following us on Facebook again, you used to be able to do that. Seems to have gone away. I will definitely start mentioning everybody again. I apologize, but it's face baggery. So anyway, we do have some people who joined us on Facebook. We have Arthur Bryant, James Merritt, Jerry Lane, Ahmad Al-Holi, Lori Tevajarvi, and Owen Vernon. Nobody on X. A couple folks on YouTube, Alex Starr and John Best. On Discord, we had Ryan, KE0SHV Logan. Why does this seem like an old list?
That seems old. Snusaki was Aaron from last week.
Yeah, let me look and see if there's anybody new, because this one I can just pop right up.
Yes, yeah, we do have the join list, right? The welcome list. Oh, yeah, there's that other ones you could put in here.
Yeah, Driven Mets, Meister H. No, we did those. MSU Bobcat 2005, I think that's new for sure. Mike MacWillie is new. Let's see, NX70.
And he boosted the server. Boost?
Yeah, and I boosted it too, so we're Nitro now.
Oh, geez. Can do like full HD content in our videos.
Yep. Aaron, Zahau, Rich, N1NDF, and Dan, KB6NU joined for like the 100th
time. He must be burning through all his email addresses.
Yeah, and I know these other ones are also old, so I'm just going to have to dig through, and in the next one, I'll just get everybody. So somebody got double mentions, and the new folks will get mentioned on the next show. Sorry about that, but we'll definitely make sure we get everybody. And in the live chat tonight, we had Steve KJ5T, Ted WA0EIR, and Darren VK60K. Light night, but that's because we're recording at a weird night. So not terribly surprising. So thanks everybody for joining us in the live chat, or downloading the show, or just being a participant, supporting us financially, being a listener, getting out on the social media to promote us. Whatever it is you do, we really appreciate it. And we're glad that you're a listener of Linux in the Ham Shack. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up this deep dive episode number 519 of Linux in the Ham Shack, and we'll catch you on the next one. Have a great week. For the On Assignment, Cheryl W5MOO, I'm Russ, K5TUX.
And I'm Bill, NE4RD73.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Linux in the Ham Shack. LHS is a community-sponsored podcast. Our website is located at lhspodcast.info. You can support the podcast by visiting the LHS Patreon page at patreon.com/LHS Podcast, or by using the contribute list on the homepage. We have a presence on Discord, Facebook, IRC, Twitter, and YouTube. You can also drop us an email at info@lhspodcast.info, or leave us a voicemail at 1-909-LHS-SHOW. That's 1-909-547-7469. Visit the online LHS merchandise store at shop.lhspodcast.info for fun and fashionable show-themed merchandise. Until next time, remember to always heed your hedonism.